Hey guys, Fry the Cop Guy here. It is wet Wednesday today in Delaware, and it has been raining on and on and on for the past, I don't even know how long. I'm work tonight for midnights, but you know what? I wanted to get a video in because for one, I can't sleep, and for two, I just wanted to get this out there because this is going to be one of the big current events that's going on right now in America is the shootings for the massage parlor. And so for the topic for this week is going to be racism. To the past year, especially over the pandemic, a lot of the issues revolving around policing has been the systemic racism, the Black Lives Matter movement. But this isn't going to be about just any particular group. But I thought that since Black Lives Matter right now is a prevalent group, it would be good to use that as a benchmark, an objective benchmark, to talk about racism, because that's what they're fighting for. They're fighting against the systemic racism in America. And now, recently, that's popped up is the Asian hate, which has come up from the Robert Outlong shootings in Atlanta. So we're going to start off with talking about racism. So all of my videos is all about being objective. I put my opinion on certain things, but when I put my opinion on certain things, it's just a conversation. It's not saying, well, this is what I think it's better, or this is what I think it shouldn't be, either here nor there. It's just an objective based opinion. And like I said, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong over anybody, and I make a lot of mistakes, but this is my spin on things, and this is something that's prevalent in law enforcement right now, and I wanted to bring this to the forefront and have a discussion about it. So, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, racism is a belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human... Stay right there, you get back up there. Determinant of human traits and capacities, and the racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. And then it goes on to say the systemic oppression of a racial group to the social, economic, and political advantage of another. So right now, the talks about white supremacy, white privilege, all those types of things. Like I said, this has been issues for quite some time in America. As far as I'm not gonna pinpoint and say white privilege or white supremacy or this and this is not an issue or issue. That's not what I'm going to discuss, because that's not what the topic of this is. It's about racism. And it's a big issue with police because a lot of people believe most police are racist, or they have some kind of intentions or ill will towards minority communities. And, there are some facts to believe that that is the case, because there are cases of that. You can't hide from it. But, you also can't say that every single cop is racist. And then, like I said, this is a topic, a conversation that's like, well, look, to say every person is this, or to say everything is this, or to say everything is this, you can't work in indefinites. Nothing in this world is completely always a definite. Not every cop is a racist. Not every person of color is a drug dealer. Not every whatever. Not every apple tastes the same. Whatever. It's there's nothing. There's definites. Definites are not always 100%. Absolutes aren't necessarily always absolutes, and that's the thing here. I just wanted to put out there, about this Robert Outlong. When Aaron Long, my apologies, Robert Aaron, I can speak English. Robert Aaron Long killed those individuals in Atlanta. I started to see a lot more things pop up in video games, online, and everything that sparked Asian hate. What I don't get is when people try to attack a certain specific situation and put a race denote a race tag on there. Don't mind my train, it's loud. No, so they always try to denote some type of race and put it on a tag. Whether that is the case or not, I'm not sure. I've asked someone, me particularly, I'm part Asian, so I'm part Japanese. And when I look at this, I look at everything, I try to be as objective as possible. When I look at the shooting here, his motives, I try to say, okay, let me take a step back and say, okay, well, is this racist? I don't know. Well, let me research it. And from what I'm reading, kid grew up and is a regular old kid in Canton, Georgia. He kept a low profile. He was a regular kid. He was a religious kid. During the time that marked up towards extremism, religion set in, and he tried to use that as a base to say, well, I'm addicted to sex. Okay, whatever you want to justify that as. And then he used that justification of sex in the mindset of, I want to stop those mindsets of wanting to have all these sexual urges. So Mr. Long went to all these massage parlors, got his happy whatever endings or whatever, and that was his release, because apparently he had a lot of social issues to where he couldn't, find a girlfriend or whatever, boyfriend or whatever you want to say, and he couldn't find that social relief that he wanted sexually. So he happened to turn towards Asian massage parlors. So I guess in his mind, from what I read, and this is from the Washington Post, it states about, he was a strict devotee of church. He lived in a Christian family. One of his ministers, Jerry Dockery, energetic preacher, he's an advocate for socially conservative Christianity. Sex is sinful, all those types of sex, pedophilia, pornography, all this stuff is sinful, offensive to God. So that kind of stuff really puts if someone's really adamant and really religious and really on to out for a religious tirade, that kind of stuff puts a big effect on somebody. Now, is that a mental health issue? No, it's a belief. Faith, people have faith and they're very strong in their faith. That doesn't necessarily turn into racism. And that's what I want to make sure people understand is racism is an issue, but don't denote racism in everything. Don't look for it until you find facts. Don't stretch truths to fit a dialogue or to fit a understanding that you might think, oh, well, that's racist. Well, it very well might be. But is it necessarily the case? I asked another person, a good friend of mine, and she said that she doesn't believe it was a racist motive. And how I look at this is, as soon as the shooting happened, Asian hate came out, and I was like, well, I don't think this had anything to do with race. So for something to come out of this, spark something that I wouldn't say it shouldn't. I mean, I think it was the way it came was that it is, the racism from this had nothing to do with Asian hate. It had everything to do with the religious motive. And I hope people understand that this shouldn't spark some kind of outrage of racism. Now, I'm not saying that Stop Asian Hate is something bad or it's wrong, because there is that connotation and understanding and stereotype in America. There's also that connotation and stereotype in a lot of parts of the world. It's not just America, but I just want to make sure that it's understandable that this is not a issue of racism. This is a individual who tried to justify his faith by going out and maliciously, with ill will, in the name of faith, kills somebody or multiple people, 8 people, to satisfy some sort of inner being or inner dialogue that says, oh, well, I can sleep better at night now, knowing that I murdered 8 people, but I can, that's satisfied my sin, because the murdering of 8 people is totally so much better than the lust and the sexual to fight off the deity that sex with this kind of thing is sin. And I just, I don't understand what this comes from and how this relates to Asian hate, but apparently it does. Like, for example, Black Lives Matter is a social movement formed in the United States to fight racism, anti-black violence, and especially in the form of police brutality. Obviously, that's an issue that police face nowadays because people, they want to have, people being held accountable, which they should. So I just wanted to make this video because this is a streaming thing. It's just kind of adding another piece to the law enforcement puzzle to make it harder for law enforcement. Hopefully, obviously, there's an Asian culture that's in law enforcement. It's very, very small. It's even smaller than the African American culture in law enforcement. But this has nothing to do with trying to compare any kind of race or any kind of issues with that. But this has everything to do with just a current law enforcement topic. It's another piece, another thing to be mindful of. Obviously, every kind of large issue that involves a community that we serve, the Asian community. I don't serve a large Asian community, but people like in New York and like Philly and the bigger cities, they have larger, like where I used to live in Washington State, they had a large Korean population. Be mindful. So this is something to be mindful of. It makes people very aware, self-aware, understanding. So it's something that's a sensitive topic. And as law enforcement officers, we need to be sensitive to people's topics and understand, the culture that they are. So I just wanted to bring this topic up of racism because it is a issue. Obviously, it has been and will be an issue and always will be an issue. But I just wanted to squash anything and thoughts based on my opinion and based on what I looked at, not just this, but various other things, and talking with many other people, that Robert Aaron Long had nothing to do with a racist intent wow, I can't speak English. Racist tendencies. This is everything to do with a faith issue and conceptualization of mental health disorders that was brought on by an overzealous preacher. But with that note, hey guys, thanks for talking to me. Thanks for listening to me. Not talking. Talking, not saying anything. Thanks for listening to me. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. I have a couple days of work, and then I'm off for the whole weekend, so I look forward to that. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully it's not too wet. Hope it's not too rainy. And I hope you take care and have a great rest of your day. Take care.